Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the channel. My name is VirtualNunchucks. Today what we're going to do is review Marvel's Avengers. Now, because this is a live service game, there are a lot of things that will change, but for now we'll start with the story, and let's talk about the story. Story basically revolves around the events or the aftermath of A-Day, the beginning of the game, and what we saw in the beta. Basically, everybody's hanging out, waiting for the Avengers to show up, having this big event, and then something bad happens, and the Avengers have to go to the rescue. Unfortunately, they're not able to do that, and they are disbanded. And because of that, all the assets are frozen, and they're taken over by AIM, which is our main antagonist in this game, and they are disbanded. They are no more, and people no longer trust our heroes. And Kamala Khan enters, the hopeful teenager in the game and the narrator of the game, to try to put the band back together. She tries to get everybody back together and prove that they didn't do it, and show the world that they're not as everything that people think they are, and that they're actually a force of good in the world. And I gotta say, for a new voice actor, she does an awesome job providing an exuberant teenager who's hopeful, optimistic about the future, and about the world she lives in, especially after 2020. That's awesome. I was kind of concerned, though, because when we first played the beta, I really thought that perhaps I was going to hate Kamala. I was going to really not like what I saw. Because you have to understand, all we saw was a little smattering of what was offered in the game. And I thought to myself, oh, I don't know if I like this character. She's a little too bubbly for my taste. But I didn't understand the context of her character in the story. And I gotta say, she's the one bright spot in this game from the standpoint of optimism. Okay? Because everything else is dark and gloomy and terrible. And people are having to deal with emotional consequences of what happened at A-Day. Everybody from Tony on all the way down to Thor, they're having to deal with all the consequences and the emotional baggage that they're carrying because of all the stuff that happened. And she's the one that says, "Hey, no, hang in there. You know, you guys, we can make it through this." And I think I have proof, and I think I can prove that you guys are not as bad as everybody's saying. And it turns out to be really cool. Some of the best moments in the story for me were when you meet Tony for the first time, and you start to see how he's dealing with the problems that he's having because of A-Day, and the dynamic between him and Bruce, because obviously there are some things that happen between him and Bruce Banner that causes problems. And then there's towards the end of the game, there's a huge emotional payoff for Tony, and I gotta say, they nailed it. They nailed it. Between the combat and the story elements itself, and just the set pieces that you have, the different battles, the different locations that you have, and the way that they split the team up. Kind of got a taste of that. If you played the beta, you got a taste of that. You got to play as Thor for 2 minutes. You got to play as Captain America. You got to play as these different characters. But towards the end game, they start to do that again, because once you've assembled the characters, you get to play with them. And I gotta say, it's pretty cool. I mean, the way because it's the only way you could really do it. If you have a team, the whole team on the field, and you want to play as each individual character, the only way you could really do it was to split them up like that. And towards the end game, I gotta say, each individual assignment that they have towards the end game is pretty cool, because they're all trying to do one objective, and it's awesome to see how they pull it off. I think it's a well executed campaign. I think the story hits home. I think if that's all we had, the 7 to 12 hours of campaign and the side missions, and that, I'd have been happy with that. I would have wanted some DLC, or to be able to replay the campaign, which is something that you need to be aware of. You cannot play the campaign but one time, so savor it, because once you beat it, you beat it, and there's no going back to it. The button's still there, but you can't go back to it. So unfortunately, that's a thing. And in Crystal Dynamics, if you're listening to me, please, oh please, oh please, oh please, oh please, put it back in. Let me play through it with my characters leveled up and my gear and all that stuff. And let me just enjoy this story again, because you guys really nailed the character of the Avengers and the there's a lot of fan service in here. There's a lot of awesome stuff that I really would like to play again, and unfortunately I can't do that right now. So keep that in mind. The next thing we're going to talk about is leveling up our characters, and we're going to talk about how it works. Okay, so the skill tree and gear. Basically, the skill tree is pretty cool. This is where you get to build your character, how you play, how your play style fits you. You have primary, which is your combos and the different skills that he has, which we got to see some of that in the beta. But then you have secondary trees and you have a mastery tree. Secondary and mastery trees allow you to build the character like you want to. If you want him to be more ranged and have ranged combat skills, this is where you do it. If you want him to be up in your face, this is also where you do it. If you want different bonuses for different things, this is where you do it. And don't worry about it, because skills, once you hit max level 50, all your skill trees will be filled, and you'll get to pick your specializations, or you'll get to pick your masteries. So you can build your character however you want him to build. It's not really that big of a deal, but I do like that there are those options so that your play style or the way you have to play a game can fit you, and I appreciate that. I also like that the gear system. Well, let's talk about the gear system for a second. I might have a 10% buff to something, or a 4% buff to something, or I might have Hulk raged out on my skill tree. All my skill tree says is I can get as much rage damage as I can get. But if my power level isn't enough, I'm still weak. And I know this is a gear game. I get that. It's a looter game. This is what the thing is gear. I get that, okay? Gear is just a stat bump. There's no cosmetic changes. For that, you have to go to the marketplace and spend either real money or the in-game currency called credits that you get just by playing the game. I appreciate that it is cosmetic only, and I appreciate that it's there, but the gears system itself, you have from common all the way up to legendary gear, ranging from white all the way up to red. You won't get red until you hit about 100, 110, somewhere around there. You won't start getting red drops until then. So be aware of that. The max level cap, I think, for power is 130, if I'm not mistaken, 150. And so, you know, you can do that. But the gear system, it works like this. Same way it works for just about everything else. Every other looter shooter. You go into missions, you find the gear, you equip the gear, rinse and repeat, okay, until you've found enough gear to level up to the max power level that you have. Problem with that is that the gear system is kind of weird. If you have from common all the way up to blue, which I think is rare, you can level it up to anywhere from 3 to 5 times. If you have purple to gold, which is epic to, or legend, I don't know. Purple to gold is you can level it up 10 times. So if you have for example, if you have a level 71 gear and it happens to be epic, well, you can level up to 81. And you can do that for each piece of epic gear that you have. And then you can also take shards or artifacts in the game and then kick those power levels up to their max whatever level, and that increases your power level of your character. That is where your damage comes from. That is where all the, the superhero-ness, if you will, comes from. And that's when you feel like a total superhero. Okay, but here's the problem with it. Okay, my problem with it is that this game levels with you and increases in power level with you. So even though you've played, let's say you've played a couple of Vault missions where you get all the epic gear and all this kind of stuff, and you've done it a couple of times with several different characters. Well, once you've leveled up, you'll go to the same mission that you played 100 times, and it's leveled up with you. So it might say, well, now you need, you might be power level 80, but now you need to be power level 88 to have a fighting chance for this. Or you might have played a mission 4 or 5 times, and then you go back to the mission, you're thinking, oh, well, this was an easy mission. I'll go and get the gear from here and be done. Well, guess what? Instead of a level 20 mission, it's now a level 90 plus mission, because your gear, as you level up your gear, the game levels up with you, making it a challenge for you. And sometimes I don't want that. Sometimes I just want to drop in, get my gear, and be done with it. Other times I don't mind a challenge. The villain sectors should be my challenge, because there are villain sectors in this game where you can take on a mission to take out Abomination or Taskmaster or whatever. And I that's where I want my challenge. I want to go in and just beat the snot out of a bad guy. I don't want to have to go and on a mission to just get gear where every time I go in it's harder and harder and harder. I don't like that personally. That's just me. I don't like that. But what I do like about the gear system is this. Each faction has its own vendor. Okay? You don't have to spend any real money. Okay? You spend in-game currency or in-game resources that you collect doing various things in the game. And you can go into these vendors. So if I'm in the market for, let's say I have a 92 piece of gear and I'm fixing to level it up to 102, but I'm missing a couple of pieces, and I want to find some gear, but I don't have time for a mission. I can go to these different vendors. There are 2 different factions, and I can go to these different vendors and I can purchase gear with my resources that I've collected from these different vendors that are pretty close, if not right on, my current power cap. So even if I have to upgrade it a few times to make it worth my while, I can still find gear that I might need or might want or whatever. Doesn't always happen, but it can. And every day, those vendors, just about every day, they change. And so you might have gear that doesn't work for you today, but tomorrow there might be some gear that works there for you. You can also purchase the different resources around. If you have enough of the in-game currency that they need, you can actually purchase the different resources you need to upgrade your gear. So maybe you don't have time to go to a mission, but you have time to go to your vendors. You can go in there, purchase some resources, upgrade your gear, and then call it a day. I think that's really, really cool. There are no pay-to-win services. There is just cosmetic changes in the marketplace. That's where the money's going to be spent, is all the costumes and stuff. That's the unfortunate thing. There's no cosmetic change to your gear. It's just a stat bump. This is where you get your costumes and your skins and your cosmetic changes. Is either your challenge cards, by completing the challenge cards options that are there. You can get resources, you can get credits to spend in the marketplace, you can get different things like that, as well as some cosmetic options in your battle pass just by completing different challenges that they have for you. But then if you want to spend real money, or you want to spend some in-game credits that you have, right now I have 1,300 on the screen there, I can go in and find something that'll change the way my character looks. I appreciate that it is not pay to win. I appreciate that it is cosmetic only, but it's kind of just sad that the only way I can get cosmetics is to do my challenge card or purchase them. Okay, so let's talk about the in-game. Right now, the in-game is pretty much this: level up your character, get as much gear as you can get, level up that, and then wait. Because that's all there is. There are hive missions, which are pretty cool. I mean, the hive missions allow you to go pick your team, have your team of 4 or whatever, and then go to this level, and then it's kind of cool how it's set up. Basically, what you do is one character goes in, beats up as many enemies as they can. It's multi-floor level, and they beat up as many enemies as they can, go as long as they can, until they die and get knocked out, whatever. And then the next person in your team goes and does that same thing. until your team is completely wiped out. And in the process, you get gear drops, resources drops, all the kinds of stuff. And that's pretty cool. That's in there. But the rest of it's pretty much just either replay the missions or wait for the raids that are coming or the different characters that are coming and the DLC that comes with those. That's pretty much it. That's the end game. Here's my problem. There is no mission in the in game that screams to me I have to go back and play that. All the level designs are basically cut and paste from the previous level designs because if you've seen one building interior, you've seen pretty much every building interior of one type or another. If you've seen one factory, you've seen another. If you've seen arc reactor, you've seen another. It's the same thing. They've just put them in different environments. Fire, at the desert, or if something is on fire, or if something's in snow. But that's it. The puzzles are the same. The mission layouts, even in the open world, are pretty much the same. And all the buildings, even the puzzles, like I said, the puzzle buildings are the same. It's either stand on this switch, hit this switch, or throw something or shoot this switch on a tower. That's all there is. I mean, that's it. There's no variety. There's no narrative push. There's no nothing. So it's just level up your character and then wait, because at this point in time I don't know why anybody's still playing the end game unless they just really love this game and they want to keep doing the combat. Don't get me wrong, the combat's really fun, but yeah, no. After about, well, let's see, if it takes you a week to level up one character, after about 3 weeks of leveling up my characters, if they don't have the content by now, I'm done. That's my opinion. It scares me that all that we have for in-game right now is the hives and the repeatable missions over and over and over and over. There's no real reason to come back. So that's the end-game. What'd be nice if they would add a replayable option to the campaign, so that people, while they're waiting for more content drops, we could replay the campaign, something that is actually good, and something that we could maybe go back and do. Because you can level up your character through the campaign, which is kind of cool. So if nothing else, let us just grab gear in the campaign. At least it'll keep us busy for a little bit, but there's not even that option. So the end game kind of sucks right now, and I know what you're going to say. Well, Virtual, it just launched last week. Give it a break, will you? I know. The team has to take a break. They've earned it. They've worked really hard for, probably a couple of years on this game, 2 or 3 years. And so they deserve a break, but I'm just saying, at this point in time, if you've leveled up all your characters, it's hurry up and wait for the next content drop. What they need is they need a roadmap. They need to tell you what's going to happen, when to expect drops, what's coming. Is there more story DLC? Is there more, mission types? Are there different levels coming? What's coming? And we don't know any of that right now, and that's what the scary part is. So that's my opinion of the end game. Now, something else too is the game levels up with you. So, like I've already mentioned, so if you think you're going to get an easy gear mission, you're crazy, because it keeps leveling up with you. The only time you're probably going to get an easy gear mission is if you've already leveled up your character to max power level. But then what's the point? Maybe legendary gear run? I don't know. But that's just me. That's just my thoughts of the end game. So let's just talk about my final verdicts for the game. All right? Okay, so my final verdict for the game. Let's talk about that for a second. First of all, again, to recap real fast. What I love about the game, there's a good story. Each character feels and plays differently from each other. There's a deep skill tree which allows you to build your own version of Captain America or whoever your hero happens to be. The great faction concept with the vendors and stuff like that and the various missions they allow. That's awesome. The vendors are constantly updating. There's plenty of side content. that changes hourly, weekly, and monthly, or at least that's the plan. What I don't like is the levels and environments are pretty much cookie cutters. We've discussed that. Combat is fun, but it's clunky at times. It's kind of slow, and depending on your character, it drives you crazy. And the biggest problem is the end game. What happens? Okay, right now there's not a lot of end game. There's the hypes coming. Uh, you know, there's that, but all you're left with is level grind, and unfortunately, there's no narrative story behind the level grind. There's no added lore. There's just do this mission and do this mission and do this mission over and over again, and after that, what is there to do? And I'm afraid people are going to begin to back away from this. And if they do that, then of course the longevity of the game is going to be a problem, and the microtransactions may get worse. So because of all this stuff, the cookie cutter designs and the all this negative stuff that we've talked about, I have to give this game a 7 out of 10 because it's above average. It's not a bad game. The campaign is worth playing. The side missions for the campaign are worth playing, and some of the post content, for the different characters, the accounting missions and stuff like that, are worth playing. But after that, once you level up your characters, why do I have to come back? And that's what scares me. I'm hoping that we get a roadmap soon, and I'm hoping that they continue to update this game, make it more interesting, because I want to come back to this universe. I want to enjoy it. But there's no replayable campaign, so I can't even come back to the game really and do what I want to do until they do that. So what I'm afraid is going to happen is a lot of people are going to take this off their hard drive and forget that it existed. And that's a shame because some of this is really, really cool. But I hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you in the next video. Don't forget, you can follow me on Facebook.com/VirtualNunchucks, over on Twitter @VNunchucks, and of course Twitch.tv/VirtualNunchucks. Sorry this game video was so long, but we had a lot to cover. Hope you guys have a great day. Bye, guys.